All right, with that being said, welcome everyone to our 2025 coaches, CIAC coaches baseball and rules meeting. My name is Henry Rondon. I am the CIAC liaison for baseball. Again, we are looking forward to having a great season out there. So again, before you get started with your games, I will offer you all of you good luck to yourself and your student athletes. Again, we are always encouraged and always inspired by the fact that you take your time to work with the student athletes to, again, continue to endorse this idea of working with them to promote education-based athletics, which is what you do. So again, we'd like to thank you for what you do ahead of time. And again, hopefully you have the best seasons that you can working with our student athletes and your student athletes to promote this great game of ours, as well as, of course, improving their skills and just continuing to make them better people, period. So thank you for what you do. Again, as you come into the meeting, please just continue to have yourself muted and please put your questions in the chat as we will answer them as efficiently as we can. And again, the meeting is being recorded. Okay. So for myself, just as the CIAC liaison, just a couple items that I would like to touch upon that I really want to emphasize for ourselves as a group. Number one, as I mentioned, this is education-based athletics. And therefore, we want to continue to stay in that spirit of education-based athletics. We want you to be as competitive as you can, to work hard as you can, again, to teach these young student athletes the best that you can. With that being in mind, again, we continue to promote good sportsmanship through our CAS-CIAC program, and we want you to do the same on the field, again, to show the best decorum that you can as possible. So, with that being said, just to give you kind of a number from last year. Last year, we had 7 coaches ejected from a game. Please note that, again, in most states, that would be considered a great number, that it's not a big number. Again, our goal, and it should be our goal as a state, for that number to be 0. That we really want you to really exhibit the best example for the student athletes. So therefore, it's kind of a challenge that I'm throwing out there for the entire state to find a way to try to make this number 0. So with that being said, one of the items that I would like to address is just to remind you that when you go to dispute a call with an umpire, and DJ will talk a little bit about this as well, that when you go to dispute a call with an umpire, that again, you go to the line. The umpire has also been instructed, or the umpires have been instructed, that when you go to dispute the call, that they're going to come to you. Again, have a conversation. If you need to say to the umpire, can you get some help? Maybe your partner saw the tag or saw his foot come off the base, whatever the situation might be. But I know that in the heat of the battle, it can be difficult to keep your composure that way, but we want to find the best way to do that. And also, with that being said, um, the biggest problem that we had in that 7 number of that were ejected were sub-varsity coaches. So you guys as head coaches, please talk to your sub-varsity coaches about how you would like them to approach an umpire in their games, or if they're assisting you in your games. But please, if you can, just think about how you want your program to look. So again, from that standpoint, I really want our goal to be 0 coaches ejected, because again, we're not far from that in the entire state. We're doing well, but we could do a little better. The last topic that I would like to address, I think it is also pressing, and it's something that we need to, as a state, do a better job, and that is inputting our pitch counts. Again, pitch counts really need to be done as you are inputting your scores, you should be inputting your pitch counts as well. Again, your athletic directors, once they give you that ability to input the score, right, you will see, of course, you have the keyboard, and right next to it, you have the baseball. The baseball, again, once you put in your score, you should go right to the baseball and input the pitch count. Again, the importance of doing this is really that we want to keep this good sportsmanship among us. Again, we want to protect our student athletes. So again, please, 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 let's get on top of putting in our pitch counts, of doing the best we can to get that done in a timely manner. We do not, myself or Damien, we do not want to be out there chasing coaches to get this done. And again, the last resort, we do not want to resort to fining coaches, or, unfortunately, even worse, because something has gone wrong, having coaches to or having a team having to forfeit a game because it was done improperly, and therefore we had a student athlete pitch when he should not have pitched. So again, if you could just please keep those two items in mind as you are going into your season and you start playing a week from Saturday, we would really appreciate it. And again, from us, have a great season. With that being said, I will pass it on to our chair of the baseball committee for CIAC, Dr. Chris Stripian.
Thanks, Henry. Hey, guys, just want to very quickly say thank you to all of you and reinforce the message from Henry of have a great season ahead, put sportsmanship at the top of the list, and continue to represent your schools as well as you have in the past. Grateful to Henry for his leadership with CIAC, and also to DJ and Damien for all of the work that they do, and the rest of the baseball committee. So I'm brief. I just wanted to say thanks for being on the call tonight, and wish everybody a great season moving forward. Henry, back to you.
Thank you. With that being said, we will move on to the rules interpretation portion of this, and we will bring on DJ Nadeau, our state interpreter, who will go over a few items with you. DJ.
Henry, thank you. I really appreciate it, guys. I see a lot of faces out there. It's awesome to see you guys be ready for baseball season as we begin this year. I'm going to actually start a little bit backwards first before I go into the new rules from this year. I just want to kind of talk a little bit about what Henry just said with, please remember, coaches are not allowed onto the field to discuss plays and are to meet at the 45-foot line on their respective dugout side to discuss a call with a base umpire, okay? So if there's a play at second base and you're the home team and you're on the first base side and you want to come out to ask a question, you can ask that question of that umpire. It is that umpire's responsibility to meet you at around that 45-foot line on the first base side. If you are on the dugout on the third base side and you want to dispute a call that's at second base, you can meet at the 45-foot line, halfway point, whatever it is, on the third base side. Coaches are not allowed to come out on the field to dispute a call. Any plays with regards to something that happens at home plate, plays at the plate, the head coach is not allowed to enter the dirt circle to discuss the play. So you must stay outside the dirt circle in order to discuss a play at home plate. I'm going to go back a little bit to last year, the pace of play and delaying of the game. The 20-second time limit rule has been in the National Federation rulebook since 1970. Okay, the rule is meant to only be utilized when other preventative umpiring measures fail to achieve a reasonable pace or rhythm of play. Failing to pitch or make an attempted play, including a legal feint, within 20 seconds after the pitcher has received the ball, the penalty, the batter shall be awarded a ball. Please, guys, get your pitchers to work within a reasonable speed. And we're talking about, attempted plays, feints, that type of stuff. I know there's some teams that are out there that are delaying the game on purpose. We can't be doing that. If that's going to happen, Umpiring crews are going to say to you, listen, your guy needs to work a little bit faster within that 20-second time frame. If not, the batter shall be awarded a ball. We're going to let you know, and then after that, we're going to start awarding balls. The batter shall not delay the game by failing to take a position promptly in the batter's box within 20 seconds. The batter must keep 1 foot in the batter's box throughout his time at bat. There are certain exceptions to that. And they're on page 46 of the rule book. If a pitch is inside, it brushes him back. If there's an attempted play, if there's a conference, if there's a drag bunt, if a swing and a miss, something like that. Penalty, failure to be ready within the 20 seconds of the ball being returned to the pitcher. The umpire shall call a strike on the batter. If the batter leaves the batter's box and delays the game, it does not meet the exceptions of leaving the batter's box. The umpire shall charge a strike to the batter, and the pitcher does not need to throw a pitch, and the ball is live. If a pitch comes down the middle of the plate and it's called a strike, and your batter steps out of the batter's box and starts to walk around, we're going to give him a kind of a hand signal to say, hey, you need to stay in the box. They're not allowed to walk around, that type of stuff. Get in the box, be ready. If that batter does not and chooses not to or tries to delay the game, that type of stuff, we're going to call a strike. I know some teams last year, this was a big issue with it. If we're stepping out of the box, calling time, time does not have to be granted. Time does not have to be granted. If the pitcher's on the mound and the pitcher's ready to go, last year we talked about causing it to be a charged conference. If your guys are up there and they're calling time all the time, it's not going to happen. We got to be able to keep a rhythm and a pace to the play. Unless it's for a safety issue, something along those lines. But if it's to break the rhythm of the pitcher, that type of stuff, we're going to try to continue that pace of play and to continue that pitcher being able to throw. Here's a big one, and this is one that I've been on a stickler for the last year now and going to be this year. End of an inning, by rule, the time between the last out of the first half inning and the first pitch of the next half inning, you have 1 minute and 20 seconds. We're keeping a stopwatch. Guys are going to keep a stopwatch. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds. That means your pitcher should be on the rubber, ready to throw as that clock expires. So once you throw the ball down, part of this issue that it takes so long is the catcher wants to go back out there and he wants to now meet with all 5 players. We don't need to do that. Throw the ball down, throw the ball around, let your pitcher get it, get back on the bump, and let's go. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds. If they're not ready in that minute and 20 seconds, that's delaying that pace of play. Okay? So let's try to enforce that. Throw the ball down. We don't need to all congregate and beat on the mound, high-five each other, and go. Let's get it and let's go. To go back to last year, player-coach communication. One-way communication devices are allowed from the dugout to the catcher while the team is on defense for the purposes of pitch calling. The coach must be in the dugout during this time. That's all the pitch comm stuff. I know a lot of teams have used it. It's been great. So it's only one-way communication, and it's only from the coach in the dugout, whether it's the head coach, pitching coach, whoever it is, they have to be in the dugout, and it's only to the catcher. Other people on the field can have play cards, okay? Any wristband with defensive shifts, offensive plays, pitching choices, or game directions shall be considered non-electric equipment and is permissible as long as it's a simple, solid color. For pitchers, it may contain the color white, gray, may not contain the colors white or gray or be distracting. Does not have to match the color of the uniform or the sleeves underneath the uniform. Finally, it must be worn by players on the wrist or forearm, and pitchers must wear it on their non-pitching arm. So if you have batters that are wearing it, it cannot be on their belt. It has to be worn on their forearm. The only one that could have the one-way digital communication is the catcher, but you can have other guys that are out in the field that have the play cards on their wrist. To go back a little bit to what Henry said, please, guys, I just had 2 other conference meetings the other day. Please, your JV coaches, the JV level is a learning level, I think, for everybody involved. The freshman level is a learning level for everybody involved, especially for our umpires as well. Our umpires that are working those levels are not varsity officials at sometimes. but they are trying to learn and become a varsity official. So it's imperative for them to be able to umpire a game and to try to work to earn to get to a varsity level. So as much as it's a learning level for freshmen or JV, that type of stuff, it's also a learning level for our umpires as well. So let's dial it down a little bit at the JV level. There's no state championship, at the JV level, that type of stuff. So let's work with our coaches at that level, that it is educational based athletics, that it is a learning experience for them. So let's try to work that way. Also, I'm asking you guys throughout the state, please make sure your JV coaches, I don't care if it's on a white line piece of paper, have a lineup card. Bring the lineup card. Okay. We're asking so that our umpires know, okay, here's a straight nine. Here's a 10-man lineup with a DH batting for the shortstop, or here's the player DH. In the JV freshman level, you can have an EH as well. Okay. So you can have an extra hitter and also have a player DH. You can also have a DH batting for someone else in the lineup, or you can play a straight nine. That EH is only an extra hitter and cannot go into the field defensively. If that happens, you lose that EH, okay? But it's only an extra hitter. Henry and I had a discussion the other day, and I believe there is only one team in the state that has this issue, and I think it is Fairfield Prep. But for those teams that play in the SEC conference or the FCIAC that do play Fairfield Prep at Fairfield University, they have the double first base. The MAC conference in college baseball has adopted the double first base. Federation has the double first base. The CIAC has not adopted it. So the state of Connecticut has not adopted the National Federation double first base for baseball. However, with regards to this situation with Fairfield Prep, will be allowed to keep the colored base in place, as removing the base would cause a safety issue. As for the playing rules, only the white portion of the base will be in play. The colored base will not be part of any of the playing action. And this should be discussed at ground rules so that all parties are aware of this and understand it. That colored base has nothing to do with the game that we are playing. It's only that white portion, but it is connected. By removing that base, there would be a hole in the ground where the peg is, and it would become a safety issue. So those teams that are in the FCIAC that do play at Fairfield Prep, or the SEC that do play at Fairfield Prep, that's what we are doing with that. So I will now share my screen for this year's rules. Let me go through the first few sections here. I apologize. There's a lot of, okay. I gotta move. Hold on one second. I apologize. Let me go back. I'm trying to give me one sec. All right. So pine tar. Pine tar or any drying agent is permitted to enhance the hold of any bat and is not to exceed the 18 inches beyond the knob, the base of the knob. The rule change creates consistency between wood bats and non-wood bats. Only non-wood bats, drying agents are no longer permitted, only in the grip. Honestly, I mean, I never even realized this with non-metal bats. I guess there was something with Federation that there was an issue somewhere in the country. So the home plate is 17 inches. If you have bats that your kids have, and we're going to ask you at the start of the game, are your players legally and properly equipped? It is your responsibility to know what equipment your team is using. And you say yes, and someone wants to challenge a bat that has pine tar past the 18 inches, that's on you, and I'll explain what will happen there. There's no specific enforcement regarding pine tar itself in the Federation. However, pine tar past the 18-inch mark makes the bat illegal. Okay, so let me Bat shall have the following characteristics of component. Each bat not made of a single piece of wood shall have a safety grip. That's simple enough. Okay. The grip must extend a minimum of 10 inches and not more than 18 inches from the base of the knob. Okay. Slippery tape or a similar material shall be prohibited. Resin, pine tar, or drying aid are permitted to hold on to the bat not beyond the 18 inches. Okay. Risk minimization and consistency. This allows a batter to have a better control over their non-wood bat so it does not slip out of their hands. It also makes the rule the same for wood bats and non-wood bats. So once again, there's no specific enforcement regarding pine tar itself. However, pine tar past the 18-inch mark of the bat makes the bat illegal in National Federation. Rule 7-4-1A, page 48. The defense may take the penalty or the result of the play. So with this, okay, let me go back 1 second. A batter is out when the batter enters the batter's box with an illegal bat or is discovered having used an illegal bat. If the infraction is discovered before the next pitch following the turn at bat of the player who used the illegal bat, the defense may take the penalty or the result of the play. Enters the batter's box is the important part of that. If a kid comes up and the catcher or the coach says, hey, Johnny Jones from Team A, his bat, it's past the 18-inch mark, and he hasn't entered the batter's box, get rid of the bat, get a new bat. Okay? Simple enough. Now, if he enters the batter's box, okay, the first use of an illegal bat, the player is out and the head coach is restricted to the dugout. Okay? Nothing can happen at that point. Okay? If he hit the ball and they discovered after, everything resorts back to where it was at the time of pitch. Okay? So any ball that's hit, home run, anything like that, that batter is out. Any runs that score, anything like that, go back to where they were at the time of the pitch. All right? So understand the use of an illegal bat, the player is out, the head coach is restricted to the dugout. A second use of an illegal bat, the player is out again, okay, and the head coach is ejected. Third use of an illegal bat, if we ever got to that point, the player is out and the assistant, who is now the head coach, is ejected. So, listen, I'm not the best at math and that type of stuff and measurements or whatever. Let's play the game of baseball. Let's not be here to nitpick and say, oh, I think this kid's bat is 18 inches. It's 18 point. Like, come on. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I honestly don't think this is going to be an issue. But believe me, there's coaches out there that are going to try gamesmanship. And team's best hitter, that type of stuff. That's how you want to coach. It's up to you. Okay. But once that batter steps into that batter's box and he has that bat, and that bat is over 18 inches where the pine tar is, then he's considered out. Every other rule book is different than Federation. Official baseball rules and NCAA, it's not illegal to have it past the 18-inch mark. All you have to do, if a kid gets a double and that bat has pine tar past the 18-inch mark in professional baseball and in the NCAA, all you do is get rid of that bat. Everything happens, stays. Federation, they consider it an illegal bat. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I hope, honestly, that there's not any issues with that going forward this year and putting a lot of onus on the umpires to see what 18 inches is. That's not the intent of the rule. Coaches, okay, a game shall be forfeited to the offending team by an umpire when a team delays more than reasonable amount of time and not, I hate the word obeying, not following an umpire's order to remove a player, coach, or team personnel for violation of the rules. Henry just talked about this, and this still seems to be something that's happening nationwide with coaches being ejected. Listen, the amount of games that we had last year, only 7 coaches ejected, while it's still a high number or whatever, I think that's pretty good. And that's a testament to you guys as coaches, which is a great job. And I think it's a great job by the CIAC as well, adopting the NCAA rule where a coach is not allowed to come out onto the field. You can see this play pick right here where the coach is in close proximity to the umpire, even at a the plate, you're staying outside the dirt circle, plays on the bases, you're not coming out onto the field. So I think it has allowed for coaches to take a minute, umpires to take a minute rather than screaming and shouting at each other. With that being said, if you are ejected, okay, you are to leave sight and sound, okay? So that means you can have a reasonable amount of time to gather your things and leave. At that point, you have to designate who the next head coach is, one of your assistants, that type of stuff. So the language of a forfeiture has been expanded to include the situation where the team delays more than a reasonable amount of time not following an umpire's orders to remove a coach, player, team personnel. An ejected coach may only return to the field if they are requested by an umpire. So team A's player slides into second base and he gets cleated and he's bleeding pretty bad. The assistant coach may call the head coach and say, hey, Johnny's in pretty bad shape here. I need your help, something like that. He's not able to come down to the field unless the umpire has allowed him to return to the field. So at that point, yes, are we going to allow you to return to the field? Absolutely. But you got to remember, you can't just come back onto the field because that player was injured. You have to be allowed back onto the field. A game shall be forfeited to the defending team by the umpires when the team is late appearing beginning of. So there's no time limit with CIAC for buses being late, that type of stuff. If there's a situation and it's an CAS-CIAC team and maybe 95 is shut and trying to get to Greenwich and you can't get there, I mean, we all have cell phones. Communicate. We're not going to forfeit something because a team is late, that type of stuff. If the game was supposed to start at 4:00 and a team can't get there and they've been in communication, they can't get there till 4:30. By the time they get ready, it's 4:25. I'm sorry, they can't get there till 4:30, and by the time they're ready, it's maybe 4:40, 4:45. Hey, that's when we're going to start the game. Persistent tactics designed to delay or shorten the game. Okay, what we talked about earlier with pace of play. I know there's some teams out there that are trying to do certain things like this, willfully and persistently violate the rules. Like, I don't foresee some of this stuff as being an issue, but this is where it's at. Forfeitures is the result when a coach, player, or team personnel does not conform to the instructions of an umpire. An ejection is a serious violation of sportsmanship and game decorum. To aggravate the violation of the game, forfeiture is egregious and contrary to the basic premises of educational-based athletics. Here's the deal. There should be a few different ways that umpires are also communicating with a coach, okay? They should get a warning in, okay? If Team A is yelling at me about balls and strikes, me personally, I'm probably going to ignore. I'm probably going to acknowledge. And then after the ignoring, the acknowledge, then I'm going to say, there is your warning. If you continue, you are going to force me to restrict you to the dugout. Now, if they continue, okay, after I've given a warning and they continue, I'm going to have a written warning. A written warning comes with a restriction to the dugout. If you continue after that, I am going to be forced to eject you. Now, if you continue, okay, arguing balls and strikes and you get ejected, when we write that report and we say that you got a verbal warning, written warning with a restriction, and then you were ejected, we're going to have that report written. It's going to go to your AD, and then you're going to have to be dealt with that way by your AD or your principal, that type of stuff. That should be some of the way that it goes. Are verbal warnings passed sometimes right to the written warning? Yeah, sure. If it's egregious enough, is an ejection happen right away where you can't get a warning in? Yeah, absolutely. We know what it is. A guy comes out and he wants to curse you up and down or something along those lines. Maybe that ejection is warranted at that point where you don't have a warning. Okay. But in an ideal situation, we're going to try to use our verbal warnings, our written warnings, our restrictions, and then ejections. But we all know certain things that will happen that will get us ejected right away, and we understand that. So we are trying to utilize warnings as a way to deter some of this stuff. So the points of emphasis for this year, I mean, this shouldn't be an issue. This was back to 2000, I believe, when we started to get the baseballs with the NOXI seal and the seal for Federation. Spalding's the official baseball for the CIAC, and all of your baseballs should have the NOXI seal and also the Federation seal. Shouldn't be an issue. Pitchers are required to use one of the two positions for the windup or the set. So this is your windup. The pitcher's foot is contact with the pitcher's plate is not parallel. There's parallel. When the back foot is parallel, okay. I have the video. I showed it in our rules clinic. There was a young man, I believe he was, not to throw anybody under the bus or anything. I think it was in the CAS-CIAC in down that area, that his back foot was parallel. He would come set, and then that front foot would take a side step. So he was coming in the set and then going into a wind-up position. Here's the easiest way. There's nothing that talks about hybrid, anything along those lines in the Federation rulebook. If your back foot is parallel to the pitching plate, you are in the stretch. You are in the set position. Okay? You cannot be in a wind-up position. I think it's the guy from the Atlanta Braves, Spencer, whatever, if he's still with the Braves, I think. His foot is parallel, okay, in his windup. David Price, to go back a few years, his back foot was parallel when he was in the windup. What happens in Major League Baseball is totally insignificant when it comes to Federation Baseball. If your foot is more like this pivot foot can be in front. I'm sorry, the non-pivot foot. See how there's the plane of the front, the dotted line. It can be in front. It can be to the side. It can be in back. That pivot foot can have a slight turn. But if that pivot foot is parallel to the pitching plate, you are in the set position. Anybody have any issues with this? Because here's the deal. A lot of your kids, and I see it now with my son and stuff like that, pro pitchers, people coming back from college or playing professional baseball, they are teaching this with the pivot foot parallel as the windup. That cannot happen in Federation. Bench decorum. Listen, this is every single year, okay? Bench decorum. Coaches set the tone at athletic conferences with their display of sportsmanship and respect. You know, as an umpire, I'm probably going to talk to captains or something along those lines. You know, some teams bring their captains out, and that's fine, whatever. I'm going to find, you know, if a bench or somebody's getting out of line, I may say to a shortstop who's a captain or something like that, hey, you got to do me a favor. You got to get your guys under control. Because baseball seems to be really the one sport where they scream at each other back and forth to see who's louder and that type of stuff. That's not what we're here for. And I'm not trying to be the no fun police. You can cheer on your team, you can do everything like that, but the bench jockeying, that's the thing that they do not want. Use of props, we've all seen this at the professional level. The guy hits a home run, they bring out a king's crown, they bring out the Ric Flair robe, whatever it is. You know, this is tiki torches. A few years ago, there was a high school team before this rule actually was in place that had a sledgehammer. After a home run, they would bang the sledgehammer, similar to what Virginia Tech did. There's no logical purpose to have props at an educational-based athletic event. Here's the thing. Like I said, I do not want to be the no-fun police. If you are going to use a prop, okay, and your kid is a sophomore and he hits a home run and his team's excited for him, absolutely they should be. If you have a king's crown or you have a WWE belt or you have a robe that puts on that kid that says home run king or whatever it is, do it in your dugout. Do not bring it onto the field. Okay? The use of props on any item to demean or embarrass one's opponent is contrary to the ideas and expectations supported by the National Federation, who writes playing rules for high school age field students. So please don't have the kid hit the home run and he's standing at the plate and you have the crown waiting for him there. Okay. This also they talked about buckets with water and things like that. Me personally, as the state rules interpreter, that kid hits a walk-off home run and it's the bottom of the seventh inning, wins a game, and the team brings out water bottles to squirt him at home plate. I'm going to see him touch the plate and I'm going to walk away. Honestly, at that point, like I don't believe that is trying to demean someone or anything like that at that point with that type of home run. But in the second inning, if we're doing something like that, there's an issue with that. There's an issue with that. Talked about this improper use of the earpieces. 2024 was the first year allowing one-way communication from the dugout, bench to the catcher. So, whatever you guys use, it's only the catcher. It's not anybody else. No other player except the catcher is allowed to wear it. Okay. There's a warning, restriction to the dugout, and there can be an ejection after that. That's it. Stop the sharing. Any questions, anything? I don't see anything in the chat right now. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, DJ. So what we'll do is, guys, if you think of any questions, please write them on the chat. We will answer them. So at this time, we will move on to Damian Frasinelli, who is our tournament director, to give us just a few updates. And again, if you have any questions, just please write them on the chat, and we will answer them at the end. So Damian, go ahead.
Thanks, Henry. So I appreciate it. Thanks, DJ, for what you've done. And I got to hope that nobody has any need to know all those rules of ejections that you just laid out. But great job. Henry talked about the positive nature of our sport and our respect for it. So I know you'll continue to do that. I hope to see you all in the postseason. Really, you'll get an email from me when you qualify. The only thing really that you should be thinking about now is that the tournament does not start the week that Memorial Day is on. It is the week after that, June 2nd, Monday. Usually it's the Tuesday after Memorial Day we start. That is not the case this year. The first the play-in game is that weekend, but the first round is June 2nd on that Monday. So other than that, the rest of it's all the same. I recommend that you go to the baseball website, download the packet of information, which gives you every deadline that you need to know and every other rule you need. My information is on there. Text me, call me. Got any questions ever, just let me know and you'll be fine. But we've had a great tournament in the last number of years for sure. We hope to see you there. Remember, we're respecting the game and others. Have a great spring once we get rolling. Hope to see you in June.
Damian, real quick, if I can just chime back in, Henry, for the penalty for improper use of communication device, the team warning is on the first offense. Any subsequent offense will lead to an ejection of the offender and also the head coach. Okay, just so guys are aware of that. Can we use an extra hitter in scrimmages? Guys, do whatever you want in the scrimmage. Honestly, you want to bat your whole team because it's a scrimmage game. It does not count. It's it's there for practice, that type of thing. You use it for how you want.
Okay, thank you. And DJ, you see that one? Is there any talk about using the safety bag in the future? Just from a state association standpoint, again, we're waiting to see what the NFHS has come up, if there is any proposal that has been given to the NFHS. So at this point, I have not seen any that has been discussed or talked about with the NFHS. Again, like DJ talked about, and once I finish, he can probably talk better than I can about it, that some NCAA schools and leagues, especially in non-conference games very early on, have gone to the double base. just to use it, to experiment with it. So from a high school standpoint, there hasn't been much talk of it, but DJ, you can go ahead.
So from National Federation, there is, like I said, there is the double first base that is allowed by state adoption. I mean, me personally, as umpires, we do get a survey at the end of each season with new rules, new things that we think may benefit the game. I'm not sure if coaches get that as well. As an umpire standpoint, I honestly think it has changed the game as well. I think it's really good. There are some tweaks in still the NCAA. I've worked a few games that have had it. So me personally, I do like it. I think it may end up being the way that the future goes with it.
Okay, and question number 2, can we use an EH in scrimmages? Of course, the answer is yes. You guys, of course, a scrimmage is a scrimmage. You run a scrimmage whichever way you like. Question number 3, I believe, Damon, this might be for you because I'm thinking off the top of my head. What is the roster limit for the state tournament?
So it's an awesome odd answer. The answer is there is no limit. It is however many you can fit into the dugout. So if you're Palmer Field, you have 30 on your roster. Guess what? If they all don't fit in that dugout, then you might have 15. So there's no max. True that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. I'll just give it a couple minutes to see if there's any other questions. Just a reminder to everyone who's coming in or may have been late. Again, the meeting has been recorded and will be posted on the CIAC website so that, again, anything that you missed, you can get. Just again, to review, I discussed the importance of inputting pitch counts as efficiently as we can. Again, the importance of making sure that we play within the best sportsmanship rules as possible, and trying to set a goal of having 0 coaches ejected in every level of baseball play in the state of Connecticut would be great. And of course, we got into this idea of DJ went over certain rules.
Henry, I think you went on mute.
Sorry. Just
Sorry.
as I was saying, just the importance of making sure that if you go back and look at the video, some of the items that DJ went over, and ensuring that, again, not only that your coaching staff understands it, but also please pass this on to your players. Again, this is on the website. If you want to show this to your players, especially, you can skip to DJ's part and show it to your players. You are more than welcome to do so. Again, take that 15, 20-minute segment, show it to them so that they understand what the expectations are and what the rules are. Very important for them to understand as well. Okay?
Guys, real quick,
Go ahead.
just to throw it out there, Henry, I'm sorry. If you guys want to write this down, my phone number is 203-915-4704. If you have a question, you can text me, you can call, you can leave me a message, that type of stuff. Just if you send me a text, just say, hey, it's, John Smith from XYZ school, and I'll definitely get back in touch with you. And my email is real simple. It's my last name, Nadu, Nadeau, DJ@yahoo.com.
Thanks, DJ. And again, in the chat, I've included my email. So if for whatever reason you forget any of that, anything you want to ask DJ, you can definitely email me a case study, a situation, and I can pass it on to him, and we can get you an answer as efficiently as possible. So again, if there's no other questions, don't worry about it. At least you know how to reach me. Again, the meeting has been recorded. If something you need to see again, please see it. Any questions you have, please ask us. Again, everyone, good luck this season. We look forward to seeing you out there, and hopefully it goes well. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.